Hello everyone, and welcome. How are you today? In this video, I'll be your guide to a world of unrelenting hardship, far from marble palaces and gilded forums. Before sunrise, our peasant wakes on a thin straw pallet that offers no warmth. At the well, he wrestles with the wooden bucket, arms trembling as he raises freezing water. In that moment, his hands ache not just from the cold, but from the knowledge that this water will be his only drink until midday, and that a cracked amphora could mean days without a single drop. Cold air bites through cracks. His stomach knots with dread at the day ahead. Sometimes there's a handful of olives cured in last season's brine. From a small leather pouch, he retrieves a pinch of grain and scatters it at the base of a wooden shrine, the lararium that stands sentinel in the field. This simple act, honoring the spirits of land and home, costs him nothing but sustains his fragile hope that the land will remain fertile, the weather merciful, and the overseer's whip at bay. He washes it down with cool well water, the liquid searing his throat and soothing his thirst. Tools are scraped clean of clinging earth, oxen unyoked and led to graze on stubble. His body feels 800 years old, every joint a knuckle of fire. Then he shuffles back up the hill toward the village hut, each step a small victory and a stark reminder that tomorrow the cycle will begin again. No wine for him, no honey sweet fruit, only the barest sustenance to keep his body moving. Yet in that fleeting moment of rest, as he savors the cheese's bite, a flicker of gratitude warms him. Food, however meager, can feel like fortune itself. He slips into a coarse wool tunic, itchy and foul, but the only one he owns. Outside, he pauses only to tighten the leather straps of his sandals, knowing that once he steps onto the field, every footfall will grind his heels raw. But the work cannot stop. He hollows out neat rows, drops seeds, wheat, barley, chickpeas, or vetch one by one, and covers them again with deliberate care. Joints ache, blisters burn, and dust permeates every breath. At times, he pauses to catch his breath, head bowed, hands on knees, praying the larari, those small household spirits, will spare him further torment. He tosses a handful of seed at their wooden shrine, voice hoarse with hope that the gods might show mercy where men will not. Mistakes are punished swiftly. A stray seed, an uneven furrow, and the overseer's lash comes cracking down, redrawing boundaries between servitude and submission. Each seed is a promise of tomorrow, though the promise belongs to another. When the harvest comes, the golden sheaves will fill the granaries of his lord, leaving him only scraps to grind into the coarse flour that sustains his family. Together, we'll walk in the worn sandals of a Roman peasant, feeling every stone, every blister, every pang of hunger from dawn until dusk. You'll hear his fears his doubts, the crushing weight of each day, and understand why, without his blood and sweat, the empire itself would collapse. So settle in and let us begin. Imagine a cluster of mud brick huts on a windswept hill, their straw roofs patched more often and repaired. He shoulders an empty clay amphora and trudges to the communal well, a journey of 200 paces that echoes in the hollow of his bones. By first light, he stands in the field, oxen straining at the yoke. His back arches painfully as he wrestles the crude wooden plow into the stubborn earth. Dust rises around him, coating his skin until he feels he might become part of the very land he works. By mid-morning, hunger gnaws at his belly so fiercely that he cannot ignore it any longer. He retreats to a lean to beneath an ancient olive tree, its gnarled branches offering scant respite from the heat. Every furrow is a battle. The soil clings to the blade, his muscles scream for rest, and sweat mixes with dust, blurring his vision. The overseer's voice pierces the morning. Faster! Instinctively, he hunches lower, feeling the whip's promise before it even cracks. One slip a shallow furrow, a misaligned turn, and the lash will find his shoulders, slicing flesh and hope alike. Hours pass beneath the merciless sky. Sweat beads on his forehead, trickles down his cheek, and falls onto the furrowed earth. The hoe, his iron blade, catches the light as he raises it and brings it down into earth, as unyielding as his own bones. His midday meal is simple. 2 thick slices of peasant bread, still warm from the communal oven, and a wedge of pecorino cheese, its sharp, salty tang, a rare delight. He hacks away at stubborn clods of earth, his arms heavy as planks of wood. His lungs burn with dust. Before resuming work, he performs a quick gesture of devotion. His next task is hoeing and sowing. As the sun plunges toward the west, fatigue sets in like a physical weight. Late afternoon brings no relief. Finally, as the sky is aflame with the day's last light, he makes his final pass across the field. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the fields, he trudges wearily towards the humble hut he calls home. His clothes, once clean at dawn, now bear the marks of a day's hard labor caked with mud and drenched in sweat. The weight of exhaustion hangs heavy on his shoulders, yet a flicker of relief stirs within as the familiar silhouette of his dwelling comes into view. Pushing open the creaking wooden door, he steps into the dimly lit interior. His wife, ever vigilant, moves swiftly to light a small oil lamp. Its flame springs to life, dancing on the earthen walls and casting elongated shadows that seem to breathe with each flicker. The warm glow bathes the sparse furnishings in a soft, amber light, momentarily chasing away the darkness that threatens to engulf their modest abode. With practiced movements, they gather around a low wooden bench that serves as their dining table. The evening meal, though meager, is a welcome sight after the day's toils. A hearty legume stew simmers in a clay pot, its aroma filling the air with promises of sustenance. Fava beans and lentils, harvested from their own plot, have been slowly cooked with wild herbs gathered from the nearby woods. Chunks of hard bread, torn from a loaf baked days ago, sit ready to sop up every last morsel of the stew. On this night, fortune smiles upon them. A small wedge of fresh cheese, sharp and tangy, adds a rare treat to their repast. As they eat in near silence, broken only by the scraping of wooden spoons against earthenware bowls, he begins to recount the trials of the day. His voice, low and weary, speaks of oxen that refused to heed his commands, of furrows that stubbornly rejected the seeds he so carefully planted. With a grimace, he recalls the sting of the overseer's whip against his back, a harsh reminder of the price of perceived idleness. His children listen with wide eyes, their young faces a mixture of awe and trepidation. In these moments, unbeknownst to him, he imparts lessons far beyond the art of tilling soil. They absorb the unspoken truths of their world, the necessity of endurance, the omnipresence of fear, and the daily struggle for survival that defines their existence. The meal, though filling, does little to fully satiate the gnawing hunger that seems a constant companion. Fatigue lingers in every muscle, a testament to the back-breaking labor that consumes their days. Yet this simple repast brings with it a quiet comfort. It stands as both reward for another day survived and a poignant reminder of all that hangs in the balance. Their very lives depended on the whims of weather, masters, and capricious gods. As the last morsels are consumed, he rises from the bench, gesturing for his family to follow. They step outside into the cool evening air, the sky now a canvas of deep purples and fading oranges. At the foot of a small wooden shrine, their humble orarium, he pauses, reaching into a pouch at his waist. With reverence, he scatters a handful of precious grain upon the earth, each kernel a silent plea to Ceres, goddess of agriculture, and to the Lares, the guardian spirits of their home. His whispered prayers carry the weight of their hopes, protection from harm, forgiveness for any perceived transgressions, and above all, the promise of a bountiful harvest in the seasons to come. In the fading light, the scattered grains catch the last rays of the setting sun, glittering like tiny stars against the dark soil. To weary eyes, they become symbols of hope fragile, yet resilient pinpoints of light in a world too often shrouded in uncertainty and hardship. With this final act of devotion complete, the family retreats once more to the shelter of their hut. The oil lamp, now the sole source of illumination, casts a warm glow over their gathered forms. Despite the bone-deep weariness that plagues him, He summons the strength for one last ritual, one that brings a different kind of nourishment to their souls. In a voice that grows stronger with each word, he begins to weave tales passed down through generations. Stories of Italic heroes who triumphed against impossible odds fill the air, stirring dreams of glory in young hearts. He speaks of restless spirits that wander the night, cautionary tales that reinforce the importance of proper offerings and respect for the unseen world. On lighter nights, when the burdens of the day weigh less heavily, he might recount the adventures of a clever fox, its cunning a match for any hunter's trap. These moments of shared wonder work a subtle magic, lifting their spirits and offering a brief respite from the relentless demands of their daily existence. For a short while, the cramped confines of their hut expand, transformed by imagination into vast forests, heroic battlefields, or the mischievous playground of trickster animals. The children's eyes shine with delight, their earlier solemnity replaced by grins and barely contained giggles. Even his wife, worn by years of toil, allows a small smile to grace her features as she listens, hands busy with mending in the lamplight. As the tales draw to a close and yawns begin to punctuate the silence, he knows it is time to prepare for the night ahead. With practiced efficiency, he gathers the tools of his trade hoes, sickles, and baskets and stacks them neatly outside the hut's entrance. Each implement is placed with care, ready for the pre-dawn rush to the fields that will come all too soon. Returning inside, he takes a moment to secure their shelter against the dangers that lurk in the darkness. A sturdy block of wood is wedged tightly against the door, a simple yet effective barrier against both four-legged predators and any ill-intentioned wanderers who might pass in the night. The act brings a small measure of comfort, an illusion of safety in a world where true security remains elusive. With these final tasks complete, he reaches into the folds of his tunic, withdrawing a small scrap of parchment. By the guttering light of the lamp, he studies the crude markings that detail tomorrow's labor's orders, from the dominus that will dictate every moment from sunrise to sunset. A quiet sigh escapes his lips as he tucks the parchment away, resignation settling over him like a heavy cloak. Another day of backbreaking toil awaits, indistinguishable from the one just ended, save for the specific tasks assigned. Exhaustion finally overtakes him as he collapses onto a thin pallet of straw, his body crying out for rest. Around him, his family settles into their own meager beds, the sounds of their breathing soon falling into the steady rhythms of sleep. The oil lamp flickers one last time before sputtering out, plunging the hut into darkness. In these final moments before unconsciousness claims him, fleeting thoughts drift through his mind, fragments of prayers, worries about the coming harvest, hopes for his children's futures. But these concerns soon fade, swept away by the tide of bone-deep weariness. He slips into a deep, dreamless sleep, his body and mind too spent for even the luxury of nighttime visions. The hut falls silent, save for the soft sounds of slumber and the occasional creak of the structure settling. Outside, night creatures begin their chorus, and a gentle breeze rustles through the nearby fields. The world continues its eternal cycle, heedless of the small drama of human lives played out within these humble walls. And so they rest, gathering what strength they can before dawn breaks, heralding another day of toil, struggle, and the endless fight for survival in a world that offers little mercy to those born to till the soil.